What's up, everybody? It's Heidi Fang here with Vinny Bonsignore, Raiders beat writer. We're going to break down his 53-man roster projection. Of course, we know training camp has not yet started, but as we eagerly anticipate that, we're going to take a look now at some of the roster, what could be, what could happen, guys that might be on the bubble. Vinny, in your projection with the 53-man roster, one thing that stood out, 2 quarterbacks. Yes. We're used to seeing 3 with John Gruden. What did you feel were the strengths and weaknesses that led it to be Jarrett Stidham and Derek Carr?
The way I look at it, I don't think Nick Mullins is going to get picked up if he gets cut by the Raiders, especially at the end of training camp. I think most teams at that point kind of have their backup quarterback situation squared away and who they want on their roster. So I think Nick Mullins can get through waivers and then come back on the practice squad with the Raiders and be available on a week-to-week basis. I felt like they could be a little bit flexible in that regard. Always have 3 quarterbacks around without question, practicing every day. We know that the practice squad players practice with the 53-man during the course of the week, so you wouldn't be losing anything in that regard. And then be able to use that 53-man spot roster spot at another area.
When you went and made these projections, which was the hardest group for you to decide upon how many stayed and who had to go?
A couple of different spots without question. I think wide receiver, when you look at the group, and I have Devontae Adams, Hunter Renfrow, Demarcus Robinson, Keelan Cole, and Mac Hollins, and I think they cover a lot of bases. The one thing that you would love to see a little bit more breakaway speed, take the top off the defense, type of a player, and the Raiders actually have somebody like that on their roster, on the 90-man roster right now, and that's Tyron Johnson, who but because of the way how numbers are at such a premium and needing to bolster other areas. And historically, the Raiders have basically kept 5 wide receivers, not 6. I would like to have a Tyron Johnson type on the Raiders roster for that need, that guy, that 4-3 type speed that could really put some pressure on a defense as need be. Now, again, you're going to take a little bit of a chance with my blueprint by putting him on waivers, exposing him to waivers, and I would imagine that the Raiders hope that he gets through. And then that would be another practice squad player that you could utilize on a week-to-week basis. If you feel going, into a particular week, like, wow, we could really use a little bit more speed against this coverage. We're assuming that practice squad stays intact the way it has been the last couple of years. Remember, they expanded it because of COVID-19 to have a little bit more of a taxi squad element. Assuming all those rules stay intact for a 3rd straight year, then a guy like Tyron Johnson and Nick Mullins are practice squad candidates so that they are theoretically on the roster. They're just not on the 53-man roster.
Malcolm Koonce is a name that keeps popping up throughout discussions during the offseason as far as what he could bring to the table. Where do you see a guy like him fitting in this defense, and how much are you expecting out of him? You did make a note of him in the article.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And during OTAs and minicamp, he was the primary backup to Max Crosby, as a rusher off of the right tackle. So Max, at least in OTAs and minicamp, was lining up over the right tackle with Chandler Jones on the other side. Some of that's going to change and flip-flop, depending on, if a tight end is on one side, and, they'll work that through that as the games, unfold and various offensive personnel packages and whatnot. I saw him with his hand in the ground, rushing off of the edge. I also saw him lined up upright, as did Max. From time to time. So I think you're going to see some flexibility in that regard. But it sure seems, at least in, through OTAs and minicamp, that they have a confidence level in him that he's going to be one of the rotational players now, specifically backing up Max Crosby.